Hello, this is my report on my initial glaze test using my Devil's Playground granite that I collected and crushed up. I've realized that taking pictures of the test tiles isn't super, useful to me. It's much better if I have a video and I can like talk through them and look at them. And I figured I would post it on my blog as well, just in case anyone's interested. But yeah, it's mostly note keeping for me. It's fairly dry. There are not a lot of laughs here, but anyway, thanks for watching if you are watching. All right, bye. This is basically adding iron to my Devil's Playground granite. So in the back here, this is just the pure Devil's Playground granite, 100%, which is kind of like a grey celadon. And then I'm adding 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1%, 1.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20, and 30% of red iron oxide. So yeah, I mean, it does what you would expect. It makes the glaze darker. And we get to a fairly interesting point, I think, at 282, which is 5%. So it's sort of Temakui, black, brown, reddish, and then 83 is a little darker, a little blacker, and this is this is reduction, this is soda, and this is reduction too. I don't have the oxidation test for this because they didn't fit in the kiln. But yeah, so basically you get to a Temakui level, and then you go into khaki and persimmon, and then you get to sort of, I quite like this, 20% iron is more like a purplish. That's quite nice. But so then I compare that to yellow iron oxide, but this one I added 10% lime and 10% minspar to my original glaze. So this is the original glaze with those additions. I did some tests before this, and that was kind of a nice addition to make the glaze melt a bit better and look brighter. So these are the tests with the same additions of iron, but with yellow iron oxide and those additions. So you can see if I step back, you kind of get to an interesting point quicker with the yellow iron and the lime and minspar. So here we're more in the celadon range. This is quite nice, just 0.5% iron. And then we get darker and darker, and then I'm really into this zone here. So this is 4% iron, and it's got some quite nice flecks in it. And you can see in soda, when soda hits these glazes, you get kind of this yellow greenish thing happening. That was heavily sodaed, some of them got a little bit less. But so that's quite encouraging to me that you get some interest there. This was just gas reduction. This is 5% iron. And there's some interesting things. I'm kind of excited about this zone. These the variation in it, I'm excited about. And then when you go to a sort of higher percentage, 7, 8, 9, 10%, you get into the khaki zone, but it's a little bit less interesting, I think. And then you end up at the end kind of like a matte black, 30% iron. That's like very saturated. In this test, I added some local red clay to my Devil's Playground granite. There's just the granite on its own. And so I did 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1, 1.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 20, and 30. And as you can see, there's a very subtle change in colour. You know, we don't really get much change until the 20 and 30% mark. And I do quite like this. It's sort of a rich, darker green celadon. But that was with 30% of this red clay. So I was expecting to have more of this like down here. You know, honestly, I was expecting it to be more like the iron tests over here, much more dramatic change. You know, that green is kind of like basically 0.75 or 1% of just iron added. So even though it was a red clay and I thought it had a high iron content, it was superficial. Don't trust the colour. That's what I learned from this test. Okay, so in this test it's a line blend between granite and a basalt, but starting with 95% granite and 5% basalt and going to 50-50. So this is 10% basalt, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Because I want my glaze to have about 50% granite. And it was kind of an interesting test. I thought that we were going to get more dark blacks like we did in the iron test. But we basically hit like a khaki persimmon line and we just stay there. There's really not that much variation here. But there are crystals forming. And I want to do more tests. I think I might try adding some additional iron to these. You know, I think there could be potential. It's a little hard with these overhead lights to see. But yeah, it's a pretty classic khaki persimmon colour. In this set of tests, I add talc to my granite base. So this is 98% granite with 2% talc. And then 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 20, and 30. So you can see that in general, the talc makes the glaze lighter. We go from a darker green to a lighter green, sort of grey. And it also sort of makes the glaze a little fatter. It does feel nice. It is still crazed. But yeah, it's got a sort of creaminess to it, which is quite nice. And they're all quite stable. In soda, it tends to make the glaze more and more matte. This is really quite dry. Yeah, and more opaque. So that's what talc is doing. Okay, so I've got two tests side by side. And this one is with unwashed ash additions to my granite, and this is with washed ash additions. So basically they look pretty similar, pretty comparable. You know, there wasn't a dramatic like, oh wow, I have to use washed or unwashed. In general, we can say that the ash makes the glaze go from darker to lighter. And as you would expect, it makes the glaze start running. So let's have a look at our percentages. So we're going from 5% ash, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So at about the 25% mark, it starts getting runny. And I noticed that this one, the washed ash, was a little runnier than the unwashed. But, you know, I mean, they're very similar. It's still about 25% is kind of like too much. I think a happy place is about 20 or 15 or 20%. You get some nice yellows underneath the runs. I don't know how that could be controlled. I kind of thinking about doing a wash of this rather than a thick glaze. See if I can get that yellow. What else? Oh yeah, another thing is that in the unwashed ash you get this orange blush under the glaze much more than with the unwashed. No, with the washed, sorry. So yeah, that's kind of nice. That's like a reason to use the unwashed ash, but in general it's like a lot more caustic for your hands, and unless I really had a specific reason for wanting that orange line, then I think I would probably use washed. And you can see, you do still get a sense of that orange line occasionally, but it's less pronounced. Alright, here's another set of tests. This is with granite blended with the nephrite tuff that I found. So here we have 5% of the tuff, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And the nephrite tuff is kind of like a volcanic ash, and it makes a glaze on its own. You know, honestly, this test, nothing really exciting has come from it. The glaze goes from sort of like slightly browner to slightly grayer. Yeah, I will not be pursuing this one. Here's a set of tests where I added a material I got from the Castle Rock campground in Utah, which I think is a rhyolite. And I added that to the granite. So this is 5% rhyolite, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And yeah, you can see, you know, they're pretty similar, not a huge amount of change, not very attractive. We're sort of in a sticky, glossy brown zone. So I will not be continuing with these ones. In this set of tests, I'm adding titanium. So we're going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 20 and 30% added titanium. So you see a lot of variation in these. The 1 to 5 range, it just kind of makes the glaze a little darker, not particularly interesting. And then when we get into 7%, we're getting more interest. This is in the soda. This is reduction, just gas reduction. And then 8%, we're in the same zone, but interestingly in soda, it's lighter compared to this is an oxidation gas. You know, I'm quite attracted to these flecks, and this deep blue sort of purplish color is quite nice, I think. And the soda really does interesting things with this. And then when you get to 20 and 30%, it's kind of like over-saturated. It's interesting, in just gas, you're getting a lighter blue. And then when you get to 30%, you're really... This is more of the like titanium, the pure titanium color. Like a yellowish chestnutty kind of color. But interesting how much the soda affects this. It's very, it seems very reactive in soda. So I want to pursue some of this, and also trying rutile, which is kind of like a dirtier titanium dioxide that has some iron in it.